Back on Inside Tennessee, recapping the election with my colleague John North, Don Bosch, and Susan Richardson-Williams, our regulars on Inside Tennessee. And we want to stick with a school board race in Knox County, in part because 5 of the 9 seats on this board were up for a vote on Thursday, and one in particular was District 7 because this seat was open. We had 2 newcomers. One is Steve Triplett, the Republican, Dominic Oakley, the Democrat. And you see Steve Triplett winning this handily, John. I believe that 71% may have been the highest percentage that anyone received on election night.
That is not a split I would have figured. I thought probably he would win it, but I thought it would be a heck of a lot closer, maybe 55, 58%. But it just goes to show you, he survived, as we know, he survived the primary, which was the real test for him, I think, despite some questions about past misuse of funds he had in Ohio, something he readily admitted to. Made no difference yesterday. Dominique Oakley is an independent. She came across very, very well, very passionate about education, but voters had made up their mind. They wanted Triplett.
Don Bosch, I mentioned I want to get back to the partisan. We saw Dominic Oakley run as an independent, but this was the first time since John pointed out maybe the early 90s that we've seen partisan elections in school boards in Knox County. The reason for that is the legislature opened the door for that option, and the local party said, we'll do it. I think the Republicans said we're going to do it first, and then the Democrats followed suit. What do you make of the partisan impact on these races?
Well, I think it's going to have an impact for a while, particularly when you have still a dominant party in the Republicans within the county. But again, it gives, I look at it as there's never a problem, there's only an opportunity. And it's an opportunity for Democrats to groom good candidates for these school board positions, identify as a Democrat unequivocally, and then I take somebody like my friend Kat Bike. One day she could be on county commission. One day, she could be a city or county mayor. And you look at India Kincannon's path, very similar, has run nonpartisan, but now we can identify. It's going to be a challenge for Democrats for a little bit, but it is what it is, and so we need to step up to the race.
Your thoughts on that partisanship in school board races now, Susan?
Well, there's a reason the Republicans supported this and got it passed in the legislature. When you're in a county like Knox, where you traditionally have had 10, 15, 20-point margins, you want to run as partisan. But I don't know, last Thursday night may change some minds about this partisanship. We saw a very big turnout from Democrats. I think one of the things I'm anxious to see in the breakdown of the elections was this young women turning out? Was it traditional Democrats? Who were these voters? Who turned out to support the Democrats? It'll just be really interesting to me to see the breakdown in the demographics of the vote.
We want to move to another board seat. That is District 6, Betsy Henderson and Philip Michael Sherman. The results of this race, again, a pretty big spread for a school board race. Again, you see a Republican running against an independent, John.
That was both of those folks were on Inside Tennessee, and I got to talk to them. I was impressed by both of them. Betsy's going for her second term. Philip Michael Sherman is an educator himself, and he said, I don't want to be partisan. I don't like partisanship, but I do want to talk issues, which was kind of impressive.
And this is another one that was on Inside Tennessee. I'm sorry to jump the gun, but I want to just touch on District 1 with you because we talked to all of these candidates as well. And the Reverend John Butler did not spend a lot of money, but he came out a big winner.
Didn't spend a lot. I think maybe $4,000 total through this year. Neither of the independents spent any money whatsoever. Probably the Reverend Butler was always in good shape to win this. There was no Republican who sought this.
Don and Susan, I want to get your take on this next race, and that is Knox County Mayor. Glenn Jacobs winning another term as Knox County Mayor. He will be here for another 4 years likely, unless he decides to run for something else. But you see that split, 55-45. John, what do those numbers tell you before we talk to Don and Susan?
Well, the thing I'm most interested in, and we were talking about it Thursday night in the newsroom, is you thought maybe it'd be a bigger blowout than that. So again, that's representative, I think, of how Democrats had a better showing. Second thing is, so this is second term for Glenn Jacobs. First time around, he was more of a novelty in terms of he was seeking office for the first time. He had his fame through wrestling. The split for him then was 66%. It's 55 for this most recent election.
He explained that, Susan, on election night. Hey, we're going to have some tough races because things are split these days. What do you make? What's your analysis of that split now?
Well, I've got to believe that he wasn't particularly happy about only getting 55% because of what he did last time. There's a lot of talk about the mayor looking at running for governor. And if you're going to run for that seat, you want to have a big support in your home county. Now, 55% in many places would be considered a landslide. So let's get that out there. I think we're all just in a little bit of shock about the Democrats running as well as they did on election night. We are used to seeing margins of 65 and 70% with Republican candidates. This time it was more like 55, 45. So I think everybody's reacting to that just a little bit more cautiously. But 55% for the mayor is still a very good number.
Don, your thoughts and whether that gives other candidates pause about their future, whether they're a Democrat or Republican, about how they approach or run for another office?
Well, I don't think it gives many Democrats pause. I think there are a lot of people, and I've heard a lot of chatter, since the election of folks that were encouraged on the Democratic side. Several of us talked to others saying, you really should consider running and doing it. Republicans, it might give some pause. We off air, we talked about a fellow like Larson Jay, who's a moderate Republican at that. And, now that Democrats are really, they have the city, let's make no bones about it. But now that they're making inroads into the county, is it always going to be a lock for a Republican to win a seat? And if Larson comes over, for example, and runs for city mayor, he lives within city limits, he would be a Republican that Democrats or some moderate or independents might support. But if I'm Larson, I'm thinking about today, gee, is that a race I want to run and lose? So I think it's going to give pause to some Republicans and encouragement to many Democrats. So, Susan, tell your folks to look out and hang on to Daniel Herrera. He's good for us.
Party chair for GOP. He was applauded at their election night. All right, we're going to take a quick break on Inside Tennessee, back with more analysis, and we'll look outside of Knox County coming up.